Alrighty, good morning everyone. It's Friday, June 11th, 2021, and we're looking at the S&P 500 futures market. We have just rolled over to the September contract, so got brand new charts here. All of our important levels have been erased. We're starting fresh. We have the new prediction points on there for today, and running a little bit late this morning, so we're going to go ahead and get right started here with our pre-market analysis. So I'm going to jump to the ultra high time frames, just see if anything looks any different here on the new contract. Interestingly enough, all the signals we had from the previous contract all pretty much look the same. We're in the same situation here on the quarterly, where there are no real clear signs of exhaustion just yet in this push. Everything looks very, very strong. The monthly, it looks like our trend lines are still holding here from the low that we made after the COVID sell-off, and no current indications of exhaustion on this push either from a monthly perspective. We jump to our weekly, and basically the same story that we've been talking about. There's just a little bit of divergence here up top. You can see that from the previous swing high on RVI, we have come down just a little bit, but price overall has pushed a little bit higher here. So we do have on the weekly. On the monthly, you don't quite see it, but on the weekly, you do have just a little bit of an indication of some potential exhaustion here. And we are basically on the last day of the week, so we have all of today for this to develop, and then this candle will close at the end of today. So we'll have to revisit this when this candle closes, because the story could change. On our daily, so this is an interesting pattern here. We basically have this really flat line across the last 1, 2, 3, 4, and then as of Globex today. So basically 4.5 days, and it's just like a straight line here on the daily. So kind of hard to interpret. What we could do here is we could argue that the low here from June 8th on this new contract was 96.25, and then the low here on yesterday was 97.25. So arguably, this came up just a little bit by 1 point, and RVI actually came down a little bit. So on the lower end, from that perspective, you did have a little bit of a bullish argument here if you wanted to. Although I don't like making cases when you just have a straight line. Like I said, I like to have defined peaks, like right here. We have a nice push to a higher high and a nice push to a lower high on RVI. And then we got this nice pullback, basically from 42.17 to 41.55. So, over 60 points or something like that. But over here, this is a little bit shaky. You have the other argument going on where we push to a higher high, but the indicator pushed to a lower high if you look at it from that perspective. So right now, really nothing in here that's useful for us, I don't think. Outside of the argument that from the low you have a bullish indication, from the high you have a bearish, which is kind of just a general argument you can make on a daily candle anyway. So right now, unfortunately, the daily is, because it's a straight line, it's kind of hard to really interpret that right now. We are, in a general sense, pushing higher, right? But the RVI generally is pushing lower. So we do, in that sense, have some type of a bearish divergence going on here. And so our weekly and our daily, in a sense, has a little bit of exhaustion here. We get to our 4-hour, and the 4-hour off of the candle that closed at 3 a.m., we do have a pretty decent bullish indication off the low. So at least we have some nice resolution here, and some clear peaks to actually make an argument with. And right now we do have that bullish indication from the low around 42.27. And then from this previous swing high here, we do have a little bit of bearishness off there. So we do have kind of a weird case this morning on this brand new contract here. Not necessarily the clearest indications from this daily and this 4 hour. Seeing kind of what else is going on here. I think that's really all we have here on the 4 hour is somewhat of a bearish indication here. A little bit of a bearish case here off the high. A little bit of a bullish case here off this most recent close of the 4 hour candle. So we'll just have to kind of look at everything and then kind of put it all together here. From a 6, remember yesterday was a very clear bullish indication coming into the open. Today it's so far, at least on the higher time frames, it's a little bit tougher to kind of get a clear picture. On the 60-minute here, we do have essentially the same indication as the 4 hour, which is a good thing. We have the push up to that pullback right around on this candle, the low is 32.25, and then we do have that bullish indication on the RVI. So overall, somewhat of a bullish case there. So the low on this guy, 27. The low on this guy was 32.25. So in the general area, let's see what else is going on here. Definitely had that yesterday, which is not really relevant right now. And then of course you could argue here that we pushed all the way down here, but then we pushed all the way up here, and so we do have the bearish case up here. All right, so nothing in alignment this morning for sure. Let's go to our intermediate time frame, see if there's any type of clearer picture down here. It might just be one of those mornings where we just have to take it just based on pure signals alone. Let's see. Got a decent bullish indication here. There's an argument that could be made just kind of like on the 60-minute, how we pushed higher here, but actually pushed lower on RVI. So not necessarily the clearest morning here. Also do have that bullish indication here as well. So things are not quite clear here. Go to our 10-minute, see if we get agreement on the divergence up there, and so we do have it at this general area where we saw it on the 30-minute, and then a little bit further up we do have that similar indication here on that swing low. So this might be a morning where we just basically have to, if we get a confluence of signals at an important level, we're just going to have to play it with that direction. And then if we get some clearer signals as the morning develops, then we can go with that. But right now, really no clear picture. If I could just kind of wrap it all up for you, let me just take a look again. The ultra high time frames do not necessarily have any indications of exhaustion until you get down to the lower end of it at the weekly. But we do have today, and so today could completely change that weekly picture. But right now we do have a little bit of a sign of some exhaustion on that weekly. And then on the daily, we have some bearishness off the high and some bullishness off the low of the previous daily candle. However, remember, we basically have a flat RVI line right here. So not necessarily, in my opinion, the sexiest thing to be making arguments with. And you can see the general sense here is we have been pushing to higher highs, but this has been pushing to lower highs. So maybe some bearishness there. And so we do have somewhat of an indication on our our weekly and our daily of some bearishness off the highs. And then the 4-hour basically has conflicting signals. The 60-minute has conflicting signals. The 30-minute, let's go back here, has some conflicting signals. And the 10-minute does have some of those bullish indications. And the 10-minute does not necessarily have a bearish indication at the moment. So pretty ambiguous this morning. And that's where we're going to have to leave it. We don't have any we don't have any alignment in the stars, and we're just going to have to take it level by level, signal by signal this morning.